Sure. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and thank you for joining us this Friday morning, bright and early. We thank you. On behalf of the Gibraltar Civil Aviation Authority and the Gibraltar Aircraft Registry, welcome, and thank you all for joining us for the Gibraltar Aircraft Registry Industry Briefing. My name is Ana Yancy Ablan, or Ana, and I'll be guiding you through this morning's program. We're very excited to see such a strong turnout today, not only from Gibraltar's professional services, but also from the international community and industry stakeholders who have traveled in from all parts of the world to join us for this occasion. Your presence here today reflects the growing interest in the development of the Gibraltar Aircraft Registry and the opportunities surrounding it. Today marks an important milestone in the development of the registry and reflects Gibraltar's continued commitment to strengthening its position within the international aviation community. This initiative represents not only the launch of a new aircraft registry, but also an opportunity to further expand Gibraltar's professional services ecosystem, and reinforce its reputation as an internationally connected jurisdiction. Throughout this morning's briefing, we will provide an overview of the registry's vision, the regulatory framework, the operational structure, and the broader legal and tax considerations related to aircraft ownership and registration in Gibraltar. Following each presentation, we'll take a short break to allow a brief Q&A so you can directly ask the speakers throughout the program. And we're excited to have you with us and look forward to a productive presentation today. To officially open today's briefing, it's my pleasure to introduce the Minister, the Honorable Christian Santos. We will be sharing a few remarks. If you'd like to, please join me.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here today. As Minister for Commercial Aviation, it is my pleasure to welcome you here this morning. It's great to see there is both local and international interest in this exciting project, and the presence of aircraft operators and international aviation stakeholders is both encouraging and welcome. I wish to thank the Director Generals of the Aruba and San Marino registries for joining us and for their support and encouragement throughout. Today's presentation will cover a wide variety of subjects. The first half of the program will set the scene and explain the functions of the registry. Then the focus will switch to explain the opportunities for the local industry. I take this opportunity to thank the external speakers who have come to Gibraltar today to contribute to today's discussions. As way of introduction, His Majesty's Government of Gibraltar has been working with the Aircraft Registry Group and especially Sir Jorge Colindres for a number of years. We are exceptionally pleased to see this project come to fruition and are very excited by the opportunities that it will bring to Gibraltar. The ROC has a well-established financial services center which is breaking new ground in respect of financial products involving blockchain. Gibraltar has a well-established and internationally recognized maritime register, and we felt it was high time an aircraft register was also established. Today marks the beginning of an aircraft register and with it a new aviation industry and ecosystem in Gibraltar. As a jurisdiction, for those wishing to register an aircraft, Gibraltar offers advantages including a stable government, English as the spoken language, an established finance center, internationally respected legal and professional services, the common law legal system, and importantly, we are business friendly. The Civil Aviation Authority have invested in excellent personnel with aviation regulatory credibility and expertise. They have developed a new regulatory framework based on ICAO standards and recommended practices, which is, by design, simple to understand and written comprehensive guidance material to support the legislative framework. And very importantly, they have partnered with the Aviation Registry Group and the unrelenting enthusiasm and drive of Sir Jorge Colindres and his team. The Aviation Registry Group already provides services to the Aruba and San Marino registries, so their experience has been invaluable to the Civil Aviation Authority in preparing for the launch of the registry. The reputation and credibility within the international aircraft registration sector should make marketing the Gibraltar Register easier. In conclusion, His Majesty's Government of Gibraltar is proud to support this important initiative, and we encourage local industry to support it too and take advantage of the new business opportunities the aircraft registry will bring. Thank you all for your interest in Gibraltar, and we look forward to welcoming your aircraft onto the register and collaborating with aircraft transactions. I am confident we have the opportunity to build a respected and internationally recognized new aviation sector in Gibraltar. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Minister Santos. Next, we will have Executive Chairman and founder of the Gibraltar Aircraft Registry, Sir Jorge Colindres, join us.
Good morning, everyone. Your Excellency, Minister Santos, Director of Civil Aviation of Aruba, Director of Civil Aviation of San Marino, Director of Purchase, esteemed guests, thank you for being here with us. This is an important day for all of us. Extremely excited. This has been a long journey, as some of you may know, but totally worth it. It's something that I have ambition since the time we made our first registry, and I think Gibraltar represents something very unique for a number of reasons that I will explain in the presentation. But not only for that, because we, as the Colindres family, as we are known, we do things the unique way. We don't do things the normal way. I told my son and I told my co-workers that we don't think outside the box. We have no box. So in order to be successful, you don't only need to be creative. You need to have your heart into the project. The only way that this can work is when you put your heart into it. And we put our heart into it because to develop this, you develop with friendship. You develop it with trust. You develop long term. We're not here for an adventure. We're here to stay. And we have been proving it to all our partners. We have proved it to the government of Aruba. We've been in a partnership for a little bit over 30 years with Director Conti in San Marino for almost 15 years. And we're looking to stay with you guys for as long as it takes. I may not see it. I'm becoming of age. But hopefully my kids will see it and my grandkids will see it. So we are not here, like I said, transient. We're here to stay with you and become part of your community. Because the only way for this to be successful is to embrace the community. So first of all, I want to thank everyone for being here today again. Our teams that came from Miami, Aruba, San Marino, and the new team that we just formed in Gibraltar. So thank you guys for all your effort. Thank you for everything you do, and thank you for making this presentation and this day successful as everything we do. So I'm going to start with the presentation. The registry that rocks. When I came with the idea, everybody told me the registry does rock. Yes, why not? Gibraltar is a famous rock. So we're going to call him the registry that rocks, because we're going to rock. So that's basically where this came from. The prefix below Zulu Delta, ZD, is not my idea. It's Director Purchase. So that's his baby. He came with with the idea that we needed to have a different prefix because we're following, like Minister Santos just said, ICAO standards in plain English and extremely simple to read. They don't need an interpretation. You read it and you know exactly what it is. You need what you need to comply. So we try to make it Zulu Delta as seamless as possible. That way people understand that we don't only have flexibility, but we have creativity with service in mind. Gibraltar Aircraft Registry vision and positioning. Regulatory framework, we are known as GAR, Gibraltar Aircraft Registry, and GCA is the relationship between us, which is Gibraltar Civil Aviation Authority. Aircraft registration in Gibraltar, process overview we're going to touch. We're going to touch a little bit about tax structuring and key tax structuring insights, why picking up aircraft in Gibraltar is importable, and the legal framework and the transitional perspective. Of course, this is me. Everybody knows me as Jorge. And please do feel close to me. I like to be very close and personal with everybody that knows me. I'm extremely approachable person. There is no safeguards around me. Just tell us as it is. I found Aviation Registry Group in 1992. Of course, I'm Greek, if you can see from my last name. You know, everybody, give me a hard time because I'm half Greek. My mom is Greek, but I'm fully Greek. So every time I say, I'm Greek, I say, you're not Greek, you're Latino. No, I'm Greek. But, adventure is in me. And I found this company in 1992. I was serving the Navy as a naval officer in Washington, D.C., and I met a person that, was interested in teaching me aviation. So I embraced aviation, and I basically left the Navy. And the first aircraft registry that we developed on a private managed partnership was Aruba. Aruba was the first country that believed in me. Quickly, we turned Aruba into the king of the jungle. We achieved Category 1, that in those days was very difficult to achieve. And then we start thinking about how we're going to polish the PPP model, the private-public partnership. Because like I said, we are partners. We are not business people looking for an adventure. No, we're here to be and develop this together. So today, we represent, since 1995, Aruba. We represent San Marino since 2012. And since 2022, we signed Gibraltar. Today, ARG manages international recognized aircraft registry with an MOU with the Republic of Kazakhstan to oversee their civil aviation affairs as well, which may be the first Asian registry in a long-term future. Why Gibraltar? It's very simple. The registry that rocks. This is why Gibraltar, because Gibraltar rocks. Well, as you all know, it's a jurisdiction. The jurisdiction matters. It's a British overseas territory. It has its own legislation inherited on English common law, UK model regulatory traditions. Gibraltar offers familiarity, English common law, that we all know works, and it works well. British legal system, respectable. Efficient corporate taxes, stability, credibility, which are key drivers for any aircraft registry. Beyond its size and controls one of the world's key maritime shipping routes. The entrance between the Atlantic and the Mediterranean, as we all know. Iconic status of the Rock of Gibraltar, which is one of the most recognized national landmarks in Europe. Vision and positioning, commercial environment. It's competitive, tax framework that is efficient and works. Simplicity compared to more complex jurisdiction due to its pro-business economic models. Financial center, insurance hub, gaming and fintech center, maritime jurisdiction, and now aviation jurisdiction designed to support international structuring. We're not only going to register planes. Anybody can register a plane. Every country is entitled by ICAO standards or by ICAO charter to register a plane under the Chicago Convention. We're not in the business of registering planes. We're in the business of developing relationships. Vision and positioning. Proven operational experience built on the framework of P4 and Tango 7 for many, many years. Purpose-built ICAO compliant state. Design and structure to meet ICAO standards from the ground up. Regulation in plain English. Why plain English? If, you know, I'm sure there are some aviators here. Whenever you get up an aviation regulatory requirements, they say, well, what is this? They try to call the Civil Aviation Authority 20 times to understand it and looking for an interpretation. We wrote the regulations in a way that everybody can just see it and understand it. And that's how we do things, that's how we make it easy, that's how we make it seamless. Interpretation can offer you different versions. So we make it something in plain English. Any work with San Marino, any work with other jurisdictions that we have created. And on top of that, we have client service first. Remember always, Director Purchase may be the authority, Minister Santos may be the minister, I may be the owner of the group of companies, but our boss is the client. We need to service the client. He pays our bills. Very simple. That doesn't mean that we're going to bend our knees. No. What it means is he pays for service, and we need to develop prime requirements, you know, that always are forward in the industry. So you have to be strong in what you believe. You have to be strong in what you develop in order to service the client. You know, we don't cut corners. We offer the best of the best in regulatory requirements and compliance. Vision and economic impact, very simple. Aviation creates a multi-sector ripple effect, or spin-off effect, if you want to call it. An aircraft registry never operates alone. Attracts an entire ecosystem, not limited to registration activities. Drivers are across every single aspect of the transaction: legal, tax, insurance, corporate services, and opportunity-based to develop professional personnel in country. The idea is to bring a new industry that will spark younger generations to be interested in a new industry as well. A strong influence on aircraft financing and leasing. Increase in territorial prestige, just like we have done with our registries. Specialized job creation. And of course, a synergy between maritime and aviation. You already have maritime, aviation works well. So I have the pleasure now to introduce our director, Chris Burkish, to the podium so he can tell you all the good things that he's doing. Chris, please join us.
Well, good morning, everyone. After the inspirational stuff of Jorge, I'm afraid I've got a bit a more boring exercise to talk to you about. I'm going to talk about the regulatory framework. Thank you. Is that one working? My name is Chris Perkis. I've been in Gibraltar since 2005. I've very recently become the Director General of the Gibraltar Civil Aviation Authority, which is the youngest regulatory body in Gibraltar. We started last June. I've been doing the role of aviation regulator since 2009. And if you'd have me up here speaking about 5 years ago, I'd have used the joke, actually, you've got 100% of the Civil Aviation Department talking to you. I'm pleased to say that since June, we've been quite busy. We've now got 6 employees. and we've actually employed some very experienced people. The Gibraltar Civil Aviation Authority is an independent authority. As I said before, we were a department of government. We're not now. For many years, we've been talking about setting up an aircraft registry. I've had a number of unsolicited requests to start up a registry, but every time we've looked at the register and the people that are behind it, we find that they didn't understand Gibraltar at all, and that actually we were actually going to go into a project that was going to fail. So after long discussions with the government, we decided the best way we could work forward would be not for the registry to go it alone and try and market, to administer, and then to regulate. That would give us conflicts of interest in that we'd attract the clients and then maybe have to say, look, I'm sorry, you're not fit to join the registry because your aircraft doesn't meet the standards we require. Similarly, we looked at where we're going into. We're going into quite a competitive international market in aircraft registrations. There are a number of jurisdictions that actually have aircraft registers and offer services similar, not the same, to which we're going to be offering. We're going to have some added benefits, as Jorge's already said, of efficiency of response. So I persuaded the government that we should go for an expressions of interest to see if anyone was interested in coming to the registry. And I'm really grateful that Jorge and his team put forward a package that was accepted by the government. And so, as Jorge's already said, we entered into a contract they entered into a contract with the government in 2022. Really pleased, why? Because, as Jorge's already said, they've got a proven track record. And as you can see by the people that are here today, their reputation attracts people to Gibraltar and attracts us, hopefully, to the registry. They've got a very good registration process, honed, first of all, in Aruba. And again, I'm grateful to the Director General of Aruba to be with us. And then actually practiced as well with San Marino. And one of the things that persuaded me is that if Jorge could get an aircraft registry working in a jurisdiction that doesn't even have a runway, that was quite a big effort, I thought. So they've been really successful. I'm going to blow their trumpet because I hope that we're going to actually copy some of their success. So since 2012, when they started, they've actually registered over 1,000 aircraft, which I think is pretty impressive. Today, they've got 500 registered aircraft active on the register. Obviously, some registrations are for short term, while aircraft are between leases or whatever. But 1,000 aircraft in 14 years, I think, is a really impressive thing. That's what we're aiming for here. Not quite the same numbers, but certainly at that area. We can make that work. We've got a very good business, and we'll be bringing in some money for the government. So as the contract was signed, the government had to form a civil aviation authority, and Jorge's team had to form a private company, which is now the Gibraltar Aircraft Registry, headed by Lindy, who's sitting looking nervous alongside me on the stage. My background, just for those that don't know me, I joined the military straight after school. I qualified as a navigator. I'm ashamed to say I flew an aircraft that's now in museums, which just shows my age. I flew the Tornado GR-1 strike attack aircraft. Flew in the first Gulf War in 1991, again showing my age, I'm afraid. But it was an exciting time. And then I ended up having jobs in the Ministries of Defence in London and in Italy, actually, which was quite an experience. And then I ended up here in Gibraltar as the station commander. Lucky, at the time the Constitution changed, and I transitioned across to become the Director of Civil Aviation, which was great. I've been doing that job, as I said, since 2009, and I've recently taken on the Director General. Lindy here. I'm delighted that Lindy's chosen to join us as the Director of Gibraltar Aircraft Registry. She's got a long pedigree in aircraft registration. She joined Aruba first in 2006, I think it was. She spent 6 years with them, and became the manager of operations and licensing. She then moved across to San Marino and has done exactly what we're hoping that she's going to be doing here. Together with her husband, David, and Jorge's son, set up the San Marino registry and made it the success it is today. So you can imagine when I was told that she was going to be joining me as the lead, that's a huge relief to me. We're in a safe pair of hands. So let's just... Okay. What does the GAR do and what does GCAA do? Okay? Well, let's start with GAR. GAR starts with giving us the marketing and the administration of the registry. They've got huge experience in it, and it's not something that I want to be involved in the marketing. They bring the clients in. Within their model, they get a personalized service. So each client will get their own personal handler, which means that you know the person you're going to be talking to. A great advantage. They also, and very importantly for me, have a large pool of inspectors that we can call on to do inspections for our aircraft. So we will give the inspectors that they have in their pool training on the specifics of Gibraltar law and the regulations. And then they'll be able to go out on my behalf and inspect the aircraft. These inspectors are all highly qualified people. They've worked for long periods in industry, but more importantly, they've all spent time in the major civil aviation authorities. So they've all got over 5 years of experience in a major civil aviation authority. And by that I mean the UK CAA, the European EASA organisation, or the FAA, or like similar organisations. What are we looking at to start with? We're actually going to try and get about 10 of those inspectors, between 10 and 15 of those inspectors available to us. Why? Because aircraft registration happens wherever it is in the world. The aircraft doesn't have to come to Gibraltar. We go to the aircraft, and that's a fundamental concept of our operation. So we're going to have a couple of inspectors in the Far East, a couple in the Middle East. These have already been selected. We've got 3 in America, and the rest are in Europe and the UK. And basically, we're just training them up now. On the registry, on the civil aviation side, what do we do? Okay, well, obviously, we're responsible for registering the aircraft and actually have the legal responsibility of putting them on the register. We write the legislation. Hopefully, when you look at the legislation, you'll see that it's been written in an easy-to-read format. I tried to make it such that if I understood it, everyone would. And I'm a pretty low common denominator. So I've gone out, there's no here to's, therefore unders, or double negatives in the legislation, which I think hopefully will make it easy for operators that want to come to us to understand what they're signing up to. Besides that, we write information on how the legislation should be interpreted, so guidance material. We write instruction materials for our inspectors so that we know that when our inspectors go out, they do everything in a standardized fashion. And obviously, we train the inspectors, both initial training and recurrent training. Very distinct roles, both organisations, but we're both working together to make sure that the registry gives a very efficient service, but most importantly for me, safety is above all. So any aircraft that's on our register is going to meet all the standards and is going to be safe. And conveniently, we've decided to put ourselves in the same office space. So we're in offices in Europol, which means that it's very easy for GAR and GCA to talk together, which is very important. Moving on, the slightly drier side about the regulations. Firstly, we meet ICAO standards and recommended practices. That's the basis of our legislation. So nothing above that, ICAO standards and recommended practices, the recommended way forward. We start with 2 regulations. The first is the Civil Aviation Authority Act. These are 2 regulations that have been approved by Parliament. Civil Aviation Authority Act, which sets up the authority. It sets out the responsibilities of the Minister for Civil Aviation, the Board of Directors, and I've got a Board of Directors who, between them, have got experience in accountancy, legal, and aviation, which is very helpful, and has given me a lot of very good advice. And also sets out the responsibilities of myself and the authority itself. We then follow that up with the Civil Aviation Act. The Civil Aviation Act in 2024 is very different from the one that we initially set up in 2009. And the main difference is it actually now allows us to register aircraft. Before, we didn't have the legal right or the legal background to be able to register aircraft. So the Act gives the right to register and deregister aircraft. It allows us to issue aviation documents, be that licenses, permits, whatever. And it allows us to, as well, revoke, suspend, or adapt a license. Very important that we've got those powers. Finally, moving through, we've also got some enforcement activity. We are actually able to enforce against the legislation. And one of the ways we can do that is by means of administrative penalties. So if we find somebody who we believe has blatantly disregarded the rules, we're not talking just culture, we're talking the just culture where you've actually done something flagrantly breaching the rules or without respect, then we have the ability to issue penalties up to £100,000. We also have the ability in the Act to push forward criminal matters to the police. We don't envisage using any of those powers, but we have to have them there. Under that, we've got ministerial regulations and operating regulations. What's the difference? Well, a ministerial regulation deals with subjects that are outside the annexes of the Chicago Convention. So, for instance, we've got mortgage regulations. We've got Cape Town Convention regulations, which allow financiers to have security over their finance asset. We've got CORSIA, which is the reduction of emissions, which is a very important regulation, and a couple of other regulations, including the accident investigation regulation, which is not the responsibility of the authority, it's the responsibility of the UK accident investigation branch, who are delegated under our legislation to be our accident investigation team. We've also got operational regulations, and that's the ones we've been writing for the last couple of months. So 21 operating regulations in total, split into 4 areas: operations, maintenance, airworthiness, Neil, airworthiness, same thing, licensing and miscellaneous. And the miscellaneous ones, we're looking at things like the actual regulation that says how do we register an aircraft, the SMS regulations, safety management system regulations, and a couple of other ones. What we've done is we've made sure that everything is transparent. We will be putting together a web page. It's not ready quite yet, which is why we're not quite ready yet to start the registry. We're looking at the first weeks of July. We'll be able to accept the first aircraft. It's transparent, it's easy, and all the regulations, the guidance material will all be on the web page. And as well as that, we've set up all the forms so that registration can be done digitally, and there's no requirement to come to the office to do any signatures. Basically, we've been following the excellent models that San Marino and Aruba have already developed for us, which is a great help. So where are we with the launch, and how do we move forward? Well, the UK has said that we can start a register. Obviously, we're a sub-register of the United Kingdom, so the government had to go to the UK and actually advise that, yes, we'd like to start a register. They came back with a couple of conditions. 1, we had to be audited by the Department for Transport before we could start. 2, we actually have to start off in a structured manner. So it's sort of a crawl, walk, run type exercise. So what have we done? Well, we employed our personnel and had everyone ready in the office by November last year. This March, very quick turnaround, we've actually now been audited by the UK DFT. We were audited against the ICAO protocol questions, or the priority protocol questions. In total, there's about 1,000 plus ICAO protocol questions. The priority ones, there's about 200. We were very, very happy with the result. We ended up with one finding, and that was in search and rescue, nothing to do with the register. Obviously, it's something we need to put right, but I thought for the turnaround we had and the quick startup, really, really pleased, and the team that I've got working for me have put in an amazing effort to get that through. So we're now ready, and we've got permission to start. How are we going to start? They said structured, so we'll be able to start with accepting private aircraft first. We won't be able to go straight to commercial. What are we looking at? Well, beginning in July, hopefully we'll get some aircraft coming on. Obviously, that depends on the success of today, but hopefully, looking at the attendance, we'll have some aircraft come to us. We need between 5 and 10 aircraft, private aircraft, on the register, and we need to be able to show the UK that we have done one regulatory oversight cycle, so about a year's worth. So what I'm hoping is that we'll get the aircraft on, and with 18 months, we'll have the DFT coming back to Gibraltar and auditing us again. What are they going to be looking for? They're going to be making sure that what we said we were going to do, we've actually done, and we've got evidence to prove that we've done that. They'll also look at that time at our procedures for commercial operations. We've already shown them to them. We believe that they've had a quick look, and we've had no feedback that's negative on it. So they'll do an audit of the commercial process, and then we'll be able to offer AOCs to the companies. So we're looking at, hopefully, Q4 27 or Q1 of 28 as the time when we hopefully will be able to start looking at AOCs. It's ambitious, it's very quick, but I believe we've got the process and the team backing us up that we can do this and make it work. Then, of course, it follows that once we've got some AOCs on the register, DFT will have to come back again and audit us to make sure, again, what we said we would do in commercial, we've actually done. So It's a continual process of audit by the UK DFT. I think that's a hugely advantageous way forward. It means that we can say to you, we've not only got the process, but somebody has looked at them and said they are fit for purpose, they are good. So we're going to keep that moving forward throughout the life of the registry. We will be audited by the UK DFT, and we will keep responding if we find things that are not working. Before I hand over to Lindy, I just wanted to talk through the team, the team that I've got working with me in the regulatory sense. So I'll start with Trevor Hammond, who many of the local people here will know. He's a Gibraltarian. He started, like me, many years ago in air traffic and qualified as an air traffic controller both in the tower and the radar in the unit here. He's been through many iterations of and positions in the tower here, ending up in 2009 becoming the general manager of the organisation, which he held until 2021, when he came across and became half of the now defunct Department of Civil Aviation. He brings with him lots of experience, and he's responsible for, he's my deputy, he's responsible for domestic regulation. The fact we're starting a registry doesn't mean that the actual regulation we've been doing for the last 20 years has gone away. So he'll be responsible for making sure that that bit works. We've then also got Mr. Andy Thurrington, Captain Andy Thurrington. Like me, he started life in the RAF. He didn't go fast jets, much more sensible. He went into an aircraft called the VC-10, which I think is also a museum piece now. And he was a captain on VC-10's transport aircraft. He left that. He got his tickets as for flying the A320 family of aircraft and joined Thomas Cook Condor Group, where he went through the ranks and actually took up a number of senior management roles until 2019, when he went across and joined the United Kingdom Civil Aviation Authority as the manager of the flight operations inspectors. So not just going in as that flight operations inspector, but the manager of those inspectors. He's got vast experience, and to be honest with him and Neil Williams, who I'm going to talk about in a second, coming across, it has made my job of getting acceptance by United Kingdom of who we've got working for us so much easier, and the project has gone ahead much more smoothly because of their reputation and credibility. I turn to Neil now. Neil Williams, he's the head of airworthiness. He has, like me, started a long time ago in industry, working for BA as an engineer. He spent 16 years in industry, going through different companies, be it in the UK or abroad, before he then joined the United Kingdom Civil Aviation Authority, where he spent 27 years, working first of all as an airworthiness surveyor, working his way up to become head of airworthiness for the United Kingdom Civil Aviation Authority, and then finally becoming the rule maker for the whole of the safety and regulatory group before he left to join us. And both of Neil and Andy joined us last November. The final person I'm going to talk about is Philip Smith, who is older than all of us, which is great to see, but he is just an engine of production, trying to keep up with the laws, the guidance material, and everything else that he produces has been, for the three of us, or four of us in fact, has been a real effort because he just churns his stuff out. Philip joined the Royal Australian Air Force. He won't tell me when it was, but it was some years ago, he said. He then went into civil industry before joining what was the predecessor of the Civil Aviation and Safety Organisation in Australia. He then went to work for ICAO as a technical group, where he learned not just being a pilot, but he learned the regulatory processes. And he has then, since then, drawn up legislation for the Gulf states at different times, for Aruba, San Marino, Bahamas, and finally for us. Philip has retired 6 times, I'm told by Jorge. And he keeps threatening to retire again, but we know he's going to keep supporting us. But just in case, we've also hired a local lawyer, Sean Gaskin, whose photo isn't up there, I'm afraid. He's joined us very recently. He's come from the legal industry in Gibraltar. We're training him up to have the experience, and Philip is mentoring him to make sure he gets the aviation experience that we need. So hopefully you can see that we've got a team that's got experience, got credibility, and actually will make sure that the rules are properly followed, but at the same time We're going to be there to help the client. What I don't want to see with any of our inspectors is what I've sometimes seen in the UK with inspectors coming here, where they go, that's wrong. And you go, and? What do I do? And they go, well, you've got to just read the rules, work it out. No, we're here, and our inspectors are going to be here to give guidance about the way that they should be going. We're not going to give answers, but we will certainly give a good steer and make sure that we get a relationship between our inspectors and actually the clients that we're working with. I think it's hugely important. Before I hand over to Lindy, has anyone got any quick questions that they want to ask, or if not, we can save it to the end of the session and networking? Excellent. In which case, I'll hand over to Lindy.
This one. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Lindy Castillo, and thank you very much, Chris, for the introduction. It's been 20 years with the Aviation Registry Group, leading and managing the Registry of Aruba, the San Marino Aircraft Registry, and now the Gibraltar Aircraft Registry, which I'm very much looking towards the opportunity and contribute to the growth of the aviation industry and the ecosystem. The purpose of today's presentation is to provide an overview of the Gibraltar Aircraft Registry, including the framework upon which has been established, aircraft categories and ownership structure, and the registry's overall operational and regulatory approach. The registration process has been designed around three key principles: precision, innovation, and responsiveness. Applicants, whether they are private owners, company entities, or professional advisors, should understand exactly the process every stage. At the same time, the registry has been designed to provide a modern and commercially practical framework that responds efficiently to the aviation needs while maintaining the highest standards of regulatory oversight. Each step of the process is clearly defined, the requirements are communicated in advance, and our team remains accessible throughout. The objective is to remove unnecessary complexity while maintaining strong regulatory standards. From the initial inquiry up to the issuance of the certificates, the process follows a structured and transparent pathway, with each applicant supported by a Gibraltar Aircraft Registry administrative point of contact throughout the process. Documentation is reviewed in logical sequence. Legal and compliance checks are conducted in parallel, and coordination with the Civil Aviation Authority ensures the applicant progress efficiently without unnecessary delay. The registry is designed to accommodate a broad range of aircraft categories while maintaining a focused and manageable operation framework. Eligible aircraft currently include airplanes with a maximum takeoff mass of 5,700 kilograms or more, aircraft equipped with one or more turboprop engines, single-engine aircraft or airplanes below 5,700 kilograms owned by Gibraltar residents, rotorcraft with a maximum certified mass of 1,000 kilograms or more, aircraft manufactured after 1st of January 1990, and any other as approved by the authority. One of Gibraltar's principal advantages is the framework that has been designed to accommodate both local and international ownership structure. Aircraft may be owned and registered by the following: a citizen of Gibraltar, a citizen of another state who is a holder of valid Gibraltar resident document, a company or trust lawfully incorporated in Gibraltar, the government, a citizen or a company of the UK, its overseas territories and crown dependencies, a citizen of or a company of the European Union, a citizen or a company of Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway, and Switzerland, or a citizen or a company of another state acceptable to the authority who has selected a registered agent residing or legally established in Gibraltar. Now, the registered agent framework allows international owners to register an aircraft without restructuring existing ownership or establishing a company in Gibraltar. The registered agent is an act as an address for service with the only responsibility to transmit official communication from the authority to the owner. We have defined as registered agent whose professions are Gibraltar-based lawyers, notaries, charter accounts, and other established aviation-related service providers. The responsibility for registration and compliance with the requirements remains entirely with the aircraft owner. Compliance and reputational integrity are fundamental. Prior to registration, all owners and ultimate beneficial owners are required to confirm that neither them nor the aircraft are subject to sanctions or embargoes by the Gibraltar, UK, EU, US, and United Nations Council measures. The authority conducts independent due diligence and ongoing monitoring throughout the registration. This ensures that any changes to ownership structure, sanctions exposure, or compliance risk are identified and addressed appropriately. The integrity of any aircraft registry depends entirely on the confidence placed in by the international aviation financial communities. Therefore, maintaining that confidence is the core responsibility of the authority and of professional advisors who engage with it. The Gibraltar Aircraft Registry has adopted a structured and proportional approach to certification activities aligned with international aviation standards and best practices. Applications are reviewed in coordination with the authority to ensure that operations, airworthiness, and document requirements are properly established prior to the issuance of any certificate and approvals. The objective is not simply to just issue certificates efficiently, but to ensure that every aircraft operating under Gibraltar Registry demonstrate compliance, operation integrity, and continued airworthiness. The approach provides confidence not only to operators and owners, but also to financiers, insurance, lessors, and international regulatory partners. Effective oversight is also fundamental to the long-term credibility and sustainability of the aircraft registry. It has been designed with oversight mechanisms combined with regulatory rigor and operation practicability. Oversight includes ongoing compliance monitoring, review of operation approvals, continuous airworthiness surveillance, and engagement with operators and service providers. The registry philosophy is that oversight should be proactive rather than reactive. Early engagement, clear communication, and transparency helps identify issues before they become regulatory concerns. At the same time, the registry maintains the ability to take appropriate action where standards are not met. Maintaining international confidence requires consistency, accountability, and adherence to recognized industry at all times. The balanced approach allows the registry to remain commercially responsive while ensuring the highest levels of safety, compliance, and regulatory integrity. Key advantages. The registry has been designed to deliver responsiveness, predictability, transparency, and a high standard of stakeholder engagement. Applicant and professional advisors benefit from direct access to the registry team and the Civil Aviation Authority, ensuring that technical operation matters are addressed efficiently without unnecessary administrative layers. Requirements and procedures are clearly published and will be available in our website. Timelines are structured and communication remains transparent throughout the entire process. The overall objective is to create a professional, efficient, and international credible registration environment aligned with best practice. The long-term objective is to establish Gibraltar as respected and trusted aviation jurisdiction recognized for regulatory credibility, operational efficiency, and high-quality stakeholder engagement. Therefore, the registry is intended to provide more than aircraft registration function. It's been developed as a sustainable aviation platform that supports operators, owners, financiers, and professional service providers throughout a framework built on credibility, responsiveness, and long-term regulatory confidence. Thank you all again for your time, your interest, and participation today. We look forward to working closely with our stakeholders, with all the locals here present today, as the registry develops and grows. And we greatly appreciate your continued support. And our doors remain open for all of you, whoever wishes to further explore opportunities and learn more about the registry. Thank you again.
Any questions for Lindy before we go for a break? Okay, so we'll take a short coffee break and we'll be back in a few minutes. Thank you.
Hello again. I hope you guys enjoyed the little break. We have a very special guest, dear friend that we know for many, many years, that we owe him a lot. And we owe him this brotherhood that he was ever created. Please, Captain Phil Smith, would you please join us? Thank you. Director Marco Conti, please join us. Director from Aruba, Edwin Kelly, please join us. Director Perkis. My family, Lindy and David, please come to the stage. Chris, Director Perkins mentioned something about an engine, you know, that just produces and produces legislation, regulatory requirements, and, you know, he never stops. It's Captain Smith. I mean, we have the pleasure of working together for, I don't know, 30 years, something like that. And we have many adventures from Tajikistan to the rest of the world. Kazakhstan. Exactly, Kazakhstan. And it's something that we have never been able to achieve without Phil's knowledge, friendship, and trust. So, and when I say we are a family registry, is because we truly feel that this is a family. So on behalf of my family, on behalf of Gibraltar CAA, San Marino CAA, and Aruba CAA, we have a special recognition for you, for everything that you have ever done for us. deserve this and more. So thank you, Phil, for everything you have done throughout all these years, for your patience, for all the calls that I have in the middle of the night. You know, he's in Australia. He's 17 hours ahead of us. So if you see extra few wrinkles, it's because I call him all the time. Yeah? But from the bottom of my heart, Phil, and on behalf of our family, my wife and my kids, and you know, Gibraltar, Aruba, and San Marino, thank you for everything you do for us. Yeah.
Goodness
It's
me.
okay. It comes with the territory.
I'm never lost for words, but I am now. It's been a privilege to work with Jorge and his family. I've never experienced working and being part of a family. And when he gave that talk earlier on this morning, he spoke from the heart. And that's him. And he's passed that on to his son David and Lindy as well. It's a family. Gibraltar is the new kid on the block. Hasn't quite started walking yet, but it's the baby brother. It will diverge in its own way, find its own path. It'll always be part of the family. And as Chris did mention, I've retired many times, but I'll come back for certain projects, and the Gibraltar project has been absolutely fabulous. I wish Chris well, and I know that with Lindy in charge and Jorge and David, it'll be a success. I'm honoured to accept this. Thank you very much. I'm still lost, but thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Please, Mr. Mark Burns and Ian, please join us in the stage, please.
Excellent. Good morning. What a presentation, and it's great to see such a great big family of aviation. It's really good to now welcome Gibraltar into the aviation family. First of all, congratulations to the Gibraltar team to the great infrastructure you've put in place. It's very impressive. We were lucky we had a tour yesterday, and also well done to the T7 is such a great registry, and to be able to replicate that here in Gibraltar, I think is going to be really, really something special for business aviation. So congratulations on the teams, because I know it's a lot of hard work to put all of that into place. And thank you too for inviting Martin Fiedler to come down. I've been to Gibraltar several times. I used to work with Gibraltar Oil here, a great place to fill up your super yacht. And also the Maritime Registry is a legendary registry as well. I've got owners on the registry in Gibraltar. So my name is Ian Petts. I'm a senior advisor at Martin Fiedler. I'm a chartered accountant by background, and I've had 25 years working with family offices, mostly in the Monaco, south of France region, and structuring for those family offices and doing the tax and customs advice. So I'm here today with Mark Byrne as well, who started the whole family story of Martin Fiedler over 40 years ago. And we're now 40 people across the globe specializing in three things. We do tax, customs, and ownership solutions. Owning an aircraft is one of life's great privileges. But it also comes with a lot of responsibility. We refer to them as time machines, and unfortunately people don't often take enough time to appreciate the complexities of managing one of these mobile assets. If you get it right, you become a time lord or lady across the world. Lots of people get hung up on the performance specifications of an aircraft, but it's really the work behind the scenes that the registry will do, that all of you here will do in the room, creating the infrastructure behind running an aircraft. And Gibraltar's a special place to do it. It's just on the borders of the European Union and comes with a lot of special tax and customs advantages. I'm going to cover 5 things today. First of all, the law. We've got to cover that because part of owning an aircraft comes with a lot of responsibilities. And I'm going to cover also the consequences of getting it wrong. I don't want to scare you too much, but you've had your caffeine now. And then, of course, I'm going to come in with the solutions that Martin Fiddler and Gibraltar can bring to you to solve those problems of running an aircraft. I don't want to lecture on law because there's some top high-class lawyers in the room, but I'll cover the essentials that you'll need to consider. Martin Fiddler as well, to give a little introduction. We're 40 years, 40 passionate individuals. We have the same fire and passion about aviation that we hope that the T7 and Gibraltar Registry and you in the room will also have. We're also French and Spanish speakers in our team. And our goal, our simple message is we want to give global peace of mind so that you can fly globally around the world. We're one of the go-to advisors globally that become part of a deal team when people are buying and selling an aircraft and then operating the aircraft. But we also manage global entities, so around the world. Isle of Man was our original base, but we've branched out from the Isle of Man over the 40 years. So the law, your duties. Wait a sec, I'll come back to that. So there's 2 primary elements of owning an aircraft. There's the customs, and of course, those of you who step into Europe will be aware of the VAT elements. Once you go into Europe, these 2 elements become very important. You've got the VAT status and then the customs status as you go into the EU. There are elements of what we call temporary admission and temporary authorization to go into Europe. For an aircraft, it's typically 6 months. For a yacht, it can go up to 18 months. And there's ways of extending that, for example, if you're in maintenance and elements like that. But it's not a no-tax situation. It's a suspension regime of the taxes. There's also a full importation method where you can actually import into Europe, and I'll go into that later. But it continually surprises me as we go across Europe how many people take a risk or talk about no-tax situations. There is no-tax situations in Europe. It's very important. You may have a 0 tax outcome, but it's still a tax outcome. The big picture is it's illegal to fly across Europe without having the tax paid on the aircraft. If that tax is 0, is a way of doing that, which I'll go into, but the most important message is to consider the tax of your aircraft. The consequences of getting it wrong. The value of aircraft has gone up a lot since COVID. Inflation has been here to stay, many of you economists will know. So I'll give an example of 50 million aircraft. If you get the VAT wrong in France, where I'm based, it's 10 million that you're going to be paying. VAT in Europe, between 17% to 27%, so please don't make a mistake in Hungary where it's 27%. Business jets values are going towards 100 million now, so we could easily double that example figure of when you get it wrong. But also to consider, if you do get it wrong, there's not only the VAT to pay, there's the tax, the interest, and the penalty to pay. But that isn't the main impact. Lots of you will appreciate the billionaires to have one of these assets. It's maybe worth only 1% of the value of the family office. So 10 million is a lot of money, but it's loose change to some of them. But the biggest impact for them is the aircraft is frozen. And imagine being the person in the room, if you get it wrong, that you have to go to the back of the aircraft and tell the UBO and his partner, or if it's a corporate flight department, sorry, your aircraft isn't flying today. That's when heads roll. And that's where not only you have the frustration, but today, I don't know if you get the Daily Mail here in Gibraltar, it becomes front page news when it's wrong. Governments are trying to collect tax and putting an aircraft on the front page of the Daily Mail or one of the other media things that destroys your reputation, and then it can trigger further investigations. So it's really important to get it right. So it's the lost time when your aircraft's down, when you're being ramp checked, it's the fines, but for the billionaires, it's the reputation damage and not having your aircraft available. So Martin Fiddler, we have three divisions. The ownership solutions. We have 40 years doing SPVs for aircraft, different structures. I'll go into those. We've got one of the strongest tax teams in the whole of Europe on aviation tax and also customs. And then our third division is the customs. We have a very useful tool which I'll come on to, which all of you can use to do your aircraft deals. We can pick and choose which of our services we want. We work alongside other people that provide SPVs. So those of you who can create one in Gibraltar will be happy to bolt on our tax and our customs tools onto your SPVs, your special ownership structures. I'll quickly cover ownership solutions because the accountants and lawyers will be very familiar with why you put an aircraft into a structure. But aircraft are held under different types of structures. You can have limited companies. Typically, we do them in the Isle of Man. Ireland, Gibraltar is a perfect place for doing them as well, with your reputation of good company governance here. Limited partnerships are often used for benefit-in-kind advantage in northern European countries. Often the tax on the benefit-in-kind of having the aircraft at the owner's disposition can even eclipse the VAT. It can be serious amounts of money, but a limited partnership is an efficient way of mitigating that. And of course, trusts, foundations, and leasing arrangements are very, very common for aircraft, and Gibraltar has a unique situation and good foundation for the leasing setups, and I hope you can leverage that going forward. So the structure, why do people do it? It's often for privacy, anonymity, and reputation management, and I know the registry are going to also have those very unique qualities, and Gibraltar has those unique qualities for the reputation management, the privacy, and the anonymity. Also, ease of transfer of an asset. It's often quicker to transfer a company than to do a full buy and sell of an aircraft. Buying and selling an aircraft doesn't happen quickly. It takes a lot of time, whereas I'm sure a lot of you in the room here will be able to buy and sell a company very quickly. There's the limitation of liability and ring fencing. Putting the assets away from a main company's balance sheet. Often with companies, they don't want to see the aircraft on the balance sheet. It can also be put back in on a portfolio. Sometimes structuring is used because you want to have your investments in Total, BP, in your investment portfolio, and you will want to see the value for the family office of the aircraft as well, which can be part of their total assets to be leveraged against. But also, Lindy covered earlier about the qualification criteria, and it's great to see Gibraltar has great qualification. Pretty much everybody can come along and register if they meet the compliance requirements. So, but structuring is a way to get qualification, and the registered agent, many of you may want to become registered agents in Gibraltar to facilitate that. But there's freedom of circulation, and one of the other issues, especially those of you in the yacht business will know, is you want to ring fence the crew employment away from the ownership of the asset. So you want the aircraft in one asset, in one structure, and you want the employment in another one. And also, if you've got multiple aircraft, the problem with business aviation is you find one aircraft is never enough because they need to be serviced. So you will often find you'll be coming back to the Gibraltar registry for a second registration, or even I think Bill Gates has 4 aircraft, but some of my clients had multiple aircraft, so hopefully they come back. And also in the yachts, we do a lot of structuring because there's a concept of sistership arrest. It doesn't work in aviation because mortgages are put on the airframe, but in yachts you can arrest a sistership. So I did say there is one tool which I think all of us can use in the room. It's called a customs warehouse. And it's when an aircraft is bought or sold, and a lot of inspections happen. Before you buy a car, you go around it and check it's similar for an aircraft, but you employ very solid surveyors. And a customs warehouse, what it does is it puts a bubble over the aircraft and it pushes away the tax, the duties, even the tariffs away from that aircraft. It's a way of lawfully suspending the tax, VAT, and all the duties that could be paid. It's also used when in a transaction you don't know what the final destination would be, what the ownership structure, eventual structure could be, or where the imports route hasn't been decided. Are you going to take it into the European Union or are you going to take it to the Americas? And it's also, for example, I've just had one last week. The owner's had a new helicopter delivered and the owner doesn't actually want to take it right now. So we can put it in a customs warehouse and keep it in that warehouse until he's made the decision if he's going to use it in Europe or America. And so we just suspend everything until the decision's made, or indeed if he's going to put it for sale with a broker and put it on the market, because there's a premium when an aircraft first comes out. And so that customs warehouse, it delays the triggering of a tax event. So Martin Fiddler, we have the most robust one. We're used in the UK for about 70% of business jets. The second tool is what we call a European import, which will be particularly useful for you for companies that are set up in Gibraltar, but the aircraft wants to come into Europe. Some people refer to it as the Netherlands import solution. The Netherlands is used by the industry, and Martin Fiddler have one of the most robust ways of doing a full importation. And full importation is really the route you want to go down for your clients if you want to give them free circulation in Europe. So you could have the SPV owning your aircraft in Gibraltar, but you need to go through the tax procedure of importing the aircraft, normally through the Netherlands, and then onward to each of the different countries to give you the free circulation. We also do it in the UK as well to give owners, because in Gibraltar you'll probably have clients who want free circulation into the UK and into Europe. But to be honest, it's worth investing with your clients and investigating this method. Before we do the questions, I had some slides on Gibraltar. I think that might be at the end. No, not yet. Well, I'll cover. Was there the slides on Gibraltar? Did they? Oh, they didn't get put in. But anyway, I wanted to cover a bit about Gibraltar because I'm very fond of the place. I was here 27 years ago with the Royal Electrical Mechanical Engineers, and we had a great time on the Rock, but also with Gibraltar Oil. But I think your platform here, the infrastructure is in place, and you're going to have non-EU residents wanting to come here, and then they're going to have the temporary importation advantages to go both to the UK and to the European Union, but also you can do the full importation into Europe. So it's a great place, and I think your common law basis is going to really attract aircraft owners because they like the simplicity of it, the responsivity of it. And I think one message in aviation we're selling a product, as Jorge mentioned, the eventual client is the UBO, and they're time-poor people, and we don't want to waste their time. The aircraft, they buy the aircraft, they're spending 100 million on the aircraft because they want to save time. So it's our responsivity, and it's our time, and it's the ability to find solutions, which is why the T7 registry has grown so well. So my one message is to the Gibraltar community and family we have here today is the aircraft is quite a different asset from other luxury assets that you may administer. People who administer properties all the time, they really struggle with an aircraft because it's mobile. So the property stays in one place and you have time, but the aircraft, you have to get it right because there's maintenance periods to be respected and everything is safety first. Safety, before you make any decision, is at the top. But the advantage of Gibraltar, and I'm hoping if there's any finance people in the room that they will step forward, and because the opportunity for aircraft financing is huge. In the Americas, where they've got it right, 50% of aircraft are financed. That's the quantum of, there's 25,000 jets out there, and that's the quantum of financing that can be done. But also for the banks in here, it's a great way of getting portfolio and assets under management. So for the private bankers, typically a lot of European loans are Lombard basis, so you would ask the UBO to put forward a lot of money, and then you would lend against those assets for the aircraft. But also there's dry mortgages, and a way of deferring the VAT with using finance as well. So if there are finances in Gibraltar, and Gibraltar is known for a good financial industry, I think we could definitely leverage that. And your experience administering companies, administering an aircraft, a yacht, they're very similar. So if you've got that experience, step forward and embrace the business aviation. It's neutral, stable, trusted. Lindy covered a lot of the things, but also the currency, great currency. The time zone is super important. We've got to keep these assets up in the air flying, and being in this time zone is a great advantage to you. And one element as well for the crew flying these jets and the jet, you have access to the British embassies all around the world. So by being on the Gibraltar Registry, you're going to have the backup of around the world. There's pretty much a British consulate in every single country. So the crew will have that comfort, and you will have that comfort by running a company with an aircraft on the Gibraltar thing. And then the privacy, and the last element is the pilot. Pilots are hugely important to us, but your registry is going to accept the US standards, the UK, and the European. So you're covering everything, and also for the airframes as well. We've got the Embraer jets, the US jets, and of course, where I'm from, the Dassault Falcons. So I think that's the main part. So I hope I've made the tax and law as clear as possible. If I haven't, I apologize, and come and see us. And also Mark Byrne is here, our founder, who created the company 40 years ago. He knows everything about tax structures and running an aircraft smoothly to give you the global peace of mind. So if you get it right, you get complete freedom, and the aircraft becomes that essential tool, and you'll become the time lady or the time lord, and you'll be part of the family office to get it right. So thanks very much for your time. Thank you for inviting me to Gibraltar. It's so great to be back here. It's a great place. I was inquiring about residence earlier. I think there's a lot going for it. But please reach out to my colleague Mark and myself, and Martin Fiddler. We have 40 people around the world, so we're here to help you get your aircraft flying. Thank you very much. Any questions out there? Any questions on the tax? No? Well, I think welcome to the business aviation family. It's a great family. We all know each other, and it's really good to have Gibraltar as part of that family. And well done to the team. I see a lot of aircraft registries, and I'll give you one little anecdote. I once wanted to test the T7 at how responsive and how available they were. So I don't know if many of you know about Italy, but most places are shut in Italy. So I took my family to San Marino, dropped the girls off to go shopping in the great shopping centre there. And I thought I'd go and surprise David in August on a Friday afternoon at 6 p.m. And I knocked on the door, and David opened the door and said, "Welcome to the T7 registry." And the whole team were busy registering aircraft and keeping the planes up there. That's the responsivity you get, and it's middle of August. You would never get that anywhere else in Southern Europe, but well done, David.
Thank you, Ian. We will next have our presentation on the legal considerations presented by Anton Jarbo, who will be joining us.
Hello, and good morning to everyone. Thank you so much for having me, to the ARG and to the Gibraltar Aviation Authority as well. It's a great pleasure to be here, and fantastic turnout. Unfortunately, on my end, I was supposed to bring a good friend and colleague of mine today to present as well, Mr. Ollie Gordon, but he's been unfortunately precluded from traveling out last night. So you'll have to make do with me. One lawyer instead of two, maybe that's music to your ears. And I promise I won't charge for two lawyers today. Some excellent points have already been raised, and I can't add a lot to Ian's fantastic tax advice and considerations on ownership of the aircraft. But what I really want to focus on today is what we see as international business jet lawyers. We cover about 60 to 70 transactions. A lot of them are financed, so we speak to a lot of the lenders in the market. And we have to advise them on an ongoing basis as to how their interests are protected and how efficiently aircraft can be registered with different registries around the world. I'm a senior associate at HFW London. We've got a team of 5 JETS lawyers in London that work on these types of transactions, probably north of 75 a year. And we've worked with probably over 20 aircraft registries across the world in my career. So this session I want to present on is about the simple question, which we probably get asked several times a week. Where do you register your aircraft? And from the outside, this is often seen as a purely administrative choice. But as we have heard today, obviously that's not the case. And there are a number of deal-critical questions that come up from clients when choosing registries. So I'm going to break down today what is important for financiers, for our end users often, and for the lawyers that have to document the deal and ensure that things get done quickly and efficiently with the people on the ground. I mean, we've worked with the Aruban Registry, the San Marino Registry, and officials across those and lawyers in those jurisdictions, and often, that will be the difference. So the way I normally see it is that a registry choice isn't actually political or a geographic choice. And often it isn't even brand driven, although some brands are better than others. But it is about efficiency, it is about bankability, it is about practical usability, and it's about achieving the end user's objective most of the time. Will the registry allow the transaction to happen? Will it allow me to secure my financing in time? Will it allow the existing financing to be repaid and any security interest over the aircraft to be released and discharged? And importantly, will it allow me to do what I want to do with the aircraft and give priority to me? Just like Ian was saying, if someone comes knocking at your door at 6 p.m. in San Marino, will there be a friendly face that opens the door? So now I'm going to quickly speak about lender expectations, because I think it's a really crucial part of having a registry that's efficient and operational. As Ian mentioned before, in the US it's a different beast. About half of the aircraft there are financed. In Europe and the Far East, it's a different question. And a lot of the time, a lot of our deals that have to be financed have been hampered by slow execution, delivery risk from some of the registries as well, and some uncertainties about procedures and policies that are in place. Now, lenders, as we all know, can be quite static, and they can be very rigid on policy and box tick exercise. And if the lenders aren't comfortable then with a registry, then it actually immediately wipes out a lot of the attractiveness of a registry. We probably get asked by our lender clients a couple of times a year to give a jurisdictional update and market insights for them to see whether there are legal risks associated with different registries that they're looking at. We give jurisdictional score sheets to them, and so it's very important for registry to be aware of this as they develop and they bring business into the registry. So the main thing that lawyers will be looking at is effectively the title and priority. So you don't necessarily need to have a legal title registry in the registry in order for a bank to be comfortable, but there has to be some way for the financier to recognize their interests in the aircraft. Either that can be noted on the certificate of registration of the aircraft, or there can be a separate mortgage registry that records security interest. Separately, we have obviously a very important part on the banking side, which is effective enforcement. So what I mean by that is effectively if a bank comes to enforcement and wants to deregister an aircraft from a registry, they will need to have certain assurances from the registry that due weight will be given to the rights that they have recorded with the registry. And we've had many situations where registries will put something on paper and in their regulations, But when it comes to practical enforcement and giving weight to that deregistration process, it won't happen in the end. So it's very important that you have a communication line with the registry, and that you have a trust in that the registry officials will honor the points that are put down in the regulations or law. And this comes back to some of the points that lawyers will also care a lot about, the responsiveness and accessibility of the registry officials. So as Lindy was talking about earlier, in this case, often there are people that we have direct contacts with at T7, for instance, San Marino, in Aruba, and now also in Gibraltar, where this personalized service, and you have registry officials that will basically guide a client through a transaction, but also the lender, importantly, through the transaction, and help them to ensure that those things are done correctly. And obviously, the lawyers will also need to ensure that there are good local relationships. And from our perspective, when we structure a deal internationally, we need to ensure that there are people on the ground that have good communications with the registries as well. For instance, here in Gibraltar, we've already established good relationships with Hassan's, and they've helped us understand the initial structuring of the registry and the rules that come into play. So one thing I want to mention, obviously, is a case study that we had this year, in fact, and there was an urgent refinancing in a registry I shan't mention by name, but certainly it wasn't one that was set up by the AIG, that I can guarantee. We had a problem, and there had to be an urgent refinancing of an aircraft, and the registry officials kept changing the goalposts in terms of what we needed to provide. Effectively, we needed to discharge the mortgage really quickly to effect the refinancing of the aircraft, and the registry kept asking for a slew of different notarized apostille documents, different originals that needed to be sent to the registry officials for checking, and this was despite having received reassurances from another registry official that this wasn't required. So the consistency of the registry response, the ability for the registry to acknowledge when something is urgent and needs to be processed quickly, those are points that are incredibly important and will have a big impact on deal feasibility. So I just want to touch now on basically the Gibraltar-specific advantages. And I think it's already been covered really well, but we have streamlined formalities and legislation which is easy to read and accessible for not only the local lawyers but also on an international basis. It's tested and tried, and it's accessible to the general public. Secondly, we have obviously quick execution guarantee. So I think it's safe to assume that the commitments that have been made so far is to ensure that banks, financiers, and lawyers internationally working on these transactions, tax advisors, and corporate service providers locally have access to the registry and can get the advice that they need when they need it. And that's coupled with the consistent approach in terms of delivering the same message consistently and not changing the goalposts from registry official to registry official. That's incredibly important, especially for the lenders. When they come to us and ask us about a registry, they will say, well, have you had problems with this registry in the past? And if we have to give an honest view about a registry that isn't exactly matching their expectations, then they are going to steer away from that generally. And once a bank has something on a red list, it's very difficult for them to move it off. Finally, it's very important to obviously mention that whilst registries that are successful on an international jets market are transaction-driven and look at the end client as their most important priority. The second thing, that I've also noticed from the speakers today and speaking to other members in the room is that there is a very strong emphasis, obviously, on ensuring the practical usability of the registry, ensuring that it's safe, first and foremost, and that safety is coupled with the transactional usability of the registry. So I think Gibraltar overall is extremely well placed now to move into a new era and create an incredibly competitive new platform for a new aircraft registration. And funnily enough, we've already had a couple of inquiries off the back of this launch event, a few emails from potential new owners and customers, and obviously from the turnout today and the great response, I can see that this will be a great success. So yeah, really just to summarize, in our view, the best registries that we've worked with in the past 10, 15 years are those that adapt to lender requirements and are easy to transact with. There's already been mentioned from Chris, of course, that the Cape Town Convention is in force here. And that's one of the key measures with their automatic deregistration rights of lenders, with their automatic recognition of aircraft mortgages, not only local law mortgages, but potentially also New York law mortgages and English law mortgages. These are products that financiers are extremely interested in ensuring can protect the aircraft and can protect their rights to deregister the aircraft if they need to. Obviously recognizing that a lot of the aircraft won't necessarily be on ground in Gibraltar, but there needs to be a cooperation with the registry to ensure deregistration can happen orderly and in favor of the financier. And finally, we can see obviously from the engagement from the AIG group generally, from Chris, from everyone that has been participating in the market so far, that there has been a drive to create regulations and a system that takes into account the end user and the lawyers and everyone else, all the stakeholders involved. So I would say that I can see that the registry rocks, and I'm ready for heralding in a new era here in Gibraltar, and I look forward to working with everyone here. And we are very, very happy to soon be basically launching new jurisdictional summaries for our lender clients and owner clients, and we'll be in touch with a lot of you to get some input and hopefully, as Ian said earlier, get a lot of drive and activity from lenders as well that we know in the international markets. So thank you so much. If you ever need anything from HW and our side, you can get in touch, and we look forward to working with all of you very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your participation today. I hope I definitely learned something today. I hope you did as well. And on behalf of the Gibraltar Civil Aviation Authority and the Gibraltar Aviation Registry, we sincerely thank you for joining us today. We'll be doing a ribbon cutting that will be more, it's somewhat of a soft launch, more celebratory. So if you can join me on stage, Chris, Lindy, and Jorge, please. And Maria and Reda are the first employees of our office here in Gibraltar. They are learning so much and have been amazing so far.
Who's cutting it? You? There we go. Well, everyone, thank you very much for coming. We look forward to working with you moving forward.
We have more coffee and canapes if you'd like to help yourselves. Back to and network as well. That would be ideal.